Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed your spring break. Let's get back to learning math. We're going to talk about the Pythagorean Theorem today. It's much more difficult to say than it is to actually solve. You're going to need a calculator in order to do this math, so please make sure you have your phone, a tablet, or an actual calculator to help you with these notes. The Pythagorean theorem only works with right triangles. So if it doesn't have that square in the corner, that means it's not a right triangle. The legs of the triangle are the two sides that form the right angle in the triangle. So sides A and B are called the legs. The hypotenuse is the side opposite of the right angle C. C is the side that is always across from the right angle, and it is always the largest. We will talk about this more as we continue on with this lesson. We are going to prove the formula for the Pythagorean theorem. The formula for the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we are going to prove that our square for side A plus our square for side B will equal our whole entire square C. So we're going to prove this both visually and mathematically. Before we can do any math, we have to first figure out the side lengths of our triangle. So side A has 1, 2, 3. So side A has 3 squares. Side B has 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. And side C has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. One of the most important things to remember with the Pythagorean theorem is it only works with right triangles. So if it doesn't have that square in the corner, it is not the Pythagorean theorem. You cannot use this formula. Another thing to remember is C is always located across from the 90-degree angle. So you can always locate C by finding the right angle and looking at the leg across from it. So our formula for the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And we said that our a squared equaled 3. So 3 showed up with our a squared. 4 showed up with our b squared. And we want to prove that our 3 squared plus our 4 squared will equal our c squared, which was 5. So now let's actually do some math with this. If we take 3 to the second power, 3 times 3 will give us 9. And as you can see, we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares for A. For B, 4 times 4 should give us 16. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And we want to find out if these two numbers will give us our c squared, which was 5 to the second power. 5 times 5 is 25. So if we count, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25 squares. So we need to prove that our 9 yellow squares and our 6 16 green squares can fit in place of these blue squares. So let's go ahead and check that out. So I'm going to take my 9 green squares and go ahead and highlight them inside of my C. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are my 9 squares inside of my C square. Now let's go ahead and count out our 16 green squares. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So you could see our 9 yellow squares and our 16 green squares fit perfectly inside of our C squared. We just proved the Pythagorean theorem. 25 equals 25. And just remember, C is always the biggest value. Now we're actually going to solve some problems using the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem always involves right triangles. So if you don't see this little right angle box, that means you can't use this formula. And again, it's only used to find the side lengths, not the degrees. The first thing you need to remember about the Pythagorean theorem is the formula. Our formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We have to decide which letter we are not given in this problem. The first thing you should always do is locate your c value by finding your 90-degree angle and drawing an arrow from it. As you can see, the missing side length is actually our c value. So we're going to be solving for the letter C. It doesn't matter which side you pick for A and B, just as long as you know which side is C. I'm going to go ahead and label the 30-foot as A and the 40-foot as B. And we'll take those numbers and plug them into the formula. We're going to take 30 and raise it to the second power, and then we'll add it to 40 raised to the second power. And that will help us determine what our C value is. But we can't forget about that little square value up at the top. So in your calculators, you're going to look for the x to the second power. This should be in both your Android and iPhone calculators when you turn them sideways. So if you type in 30 to the second power into your calculator, you're going to get the answer 900. And we're going to add that value to 40 squared. If you type in 40x to the second power, you'll get the answer of 1,600. And this will help us determine our C value. Well, we have to finish solving 900 plus 1,600. When you type that into your calculator, you get 2,500. And many students think that is our answer, but there's a slight problem, this exponent of 2. So to get rid of exponents of 2, we take the square root. So we're going to take the square root of both sides of the problem. C to the second power, well, a square root and a second exponent cancel out. So we're left with just the answer C. And if you type in 2,500 into your calculator and hit your square root button, you'll get the answer of 50. So the answer to this problem is C equals 50 feet. So let's go ahead and solve another problem. The first thing we always want to do is locate your right angle, and across from your right angle is always your C value. So like the previous problem we solved, we are also solving for C. Let's go ahead and write down our formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It doesn't matter which leg you label A and which leg you label B. So I'm going to go ahead and say A is 5 centimeters and B is 12 centimeters. So let's go ahead and plug those numbers in place of those letters. So instead of the letter A, I'm going to plug in the number 5. So we'll have 5 to the second power plus our B value, which is 12, to the second power, and that will equal C to the second power. The one thing I didn't say in the previous video that will help you for the rest of this topic is you can type in this entire expression into your calculator and get the answer. So if you type into your calculator 5x to the second plus 12 x to the second and then hit equals, you should get 169. And that equals C squared. Remember, this is not our final answer. The problem with this is C still has an exponent. Our problem in our diagram, C is by itself. So we need to go ahead and take the square root. And if you do it to one side, you always have to do it to the other. And like we said in the previous problem, a square and a square root sign cancel each other out. And if you type in 169 and hit the square root button, your answer will be 13. Let's go ahead and solve a problem where we don't get a whole number answer. So we'll do the same thing we did previously. Locate the right angle, and directly across from the right angle is your C value. So if you've noticed a pattern for this entire lesson, we're always trying to determine what the C value is. I'm going to go ahead and label 3 as my A value and 8 as my B value, and we can go ahead and plug it into our formula. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So again, our A value is 3. So instead of A, we'll type in the number 3 to the second power plus our B value, 8, to the second power, and that will equal C squared. So just like I previously said, you can type this entire expression into your calculator. 3 to the second power plus 8 to the second power equals. And you should get 73. And remember, 73 is our C to the second power. We have to figure out what our C value is without the exponent. So we'll go ahead and take the square root of both sides to cancel out the exponent of 2. And if you type 73 and hit the square root button, you get a long decimal, 8.544, and we don't really care about the rest of it. This problem asks us to round to the nearest tenths place. That's the first decimal location. So we practiced this at the beginning of the year, so you might be a little rusty, but our tenths place is where the 5 is. So I'm going to draw a little door, and we'll look next door. Does this 4 bump up our 5, or does it leave it alone? If you need a little help, you might remember 5 or more, add 1 more, 4 or less, let it rest. So we're going to leave our answer as 8.5. And we'll be practicing a lot of rounding over the next few lessons. Now it's your turn to practice. Make sure you log into ClassLink, click on Pearson Easy Bridge. It's the white icon with the orange circle and the bridge on it, and begin working on 7.1 Math Excel Pythagorean Theorem practice. There are 2 different practice assignments that I want you to complete before you take the assessment quiz. Each of the assignments are 5 questions, and the quiz is also 5 questions. If you feel like you need more help before you begin your practice, watch the videos I assigned to you on Pearson. They're called Virtual Nerd, and I think they do a very good job explaining how to use the Pythagorean Theorem.